Court takes a call. Payal is with us on the broadcast. Payal, why don't you put these facts into perspective for us? Has this assurance been given by the Election Commission to the Supreme Court?
The Supreme Court was hearing this particular matter, Anusha, and if you remember, then recently the Election Commission had announced election to, the bypoll elections to the 15 MLAs seats, and after the matter has been brought before the court, then the Election Commission in the submission has said one thing very simply, that till the Supreme Court does not pass its final orders, they've decided to postpone these elections and they'll wait for the Supreme Court to pass its final judgment. The Supreme Court also in court has said that they would not like to hear this matter on a piecemeal basis, but they would like to hear this matter for once and for all and come out with a final judgment. So the next hearing we are given to understand from our reporter, Utkarsh, that the next hearing for this particular case is on the 22nd of October.
All right. Utkarsh is also with us on the broadcast. Utkarsh, as Payal is putting all the latest developments into light, why don't you tell us a little bit more about this petition which is pending before the Supreme Court?
Well, Anusha, I'll tell you exactly what happened in the court during the day today. Yesterday was the day when the disqualified MLAs, they put forth their arguments. Senior advocates, Mr. Mukul Rohatgi, Mr. C.S. Sundaram and Mr. V. Guru, they argued in favor of the disqualified MLAs and said that the Speaker's decision, the former Speaker's decision was completely arbitrary in not deciding the resignations and not accepting the resignations, which was absolutely voluntary in nature, and rather disqualifying them on the petitions by Congress leader, Mr. Siddaramaiah. Today was the day when Mr. Kapil Sibal, he countered those arguments on behalf of the Congress leader, Mr. Siddaramaiah and Mr. Dinesh Gundu Rao. Now, he said that the Speaker cannot act mechanically in a matter like this. All these MLAs had hold up. They were all camping in Mumbai, and this was nothing better than a clear case of defection. Therefore, the Speaker's decision has to be upheld by the Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court today has said that instead of passing an interim order or hearing this case, either staying the order, will rather go into the entire issues, all the legal issues involved, the questions of facts involved, and we will want to give the final verdict on it. Because one of the central pleas of the disqualified MLAs is that because the elections have already been announced for October 21st for these 15 assembly seats, if the Supreme Court were to not rule before that, then the MLA's petition will turn infructuous. Now, to deal with that submission, the Supreme Court today said that we want to hear this matter completely and give a final order. So that Election Commission said that we are agreeable to postponing these bypolls till the time Supreme Court decides this matter and give the final opinion on the bunch of petitions. So this is the concession which has been given by the Election Commission today.
Utkarsh, apart from the latest developments which are coming to light, because you have understanding of law, the Representation of the People Act, does it give us also a deadline under which the bypolls must be conducted?
Well, this has to happen in a span of 6 months.
Right.
Now, because once the notification, if the seat is notified
Utkarsh,
to be vacant...
I'm sorry to interrupt you. S. Prakash of the BJP is with us. I'll come back to you and talk to you about that point. Mr. Prakash, thank you so much for speaking to us. Mr. S. Prakash, if you can still hear me. The question that I want to understand from you is, with this latest development coming in from the Supreme Court, are you happy that the top court is not taking any call till then? We'll try and establish that line with Mr. S. Prakash in just a bit. Utkarsh and Payal are with us on the broadcast, getting us all the perspective on that story. But as Utkarsh was pointing out, that this is a petition which is pending before the court. The court was of the opinion that they do not want to give an interim order in a piecemeal manner. They want these petitions to be disposed of with certain degree of finality, because these are polls that they are dealing with. This entire matter before the court has been with its share of twists and turns. You would remember that earlier Mr. Kapil Sibal had also questioned that how come Election Commission is a party, how can they come and make a submission before the court? Then Election Commission on the prayer of these MLAs was made a party to this dispute. Today, an undertaking has been given by the poll panel to the Apex Court that till there is a call taken by the Supreme Court, there won't be any polls. Abdul Razak from the JDS is with us on the broadcast. Mr. Razak, thank you so much for speaking to us. I want to get your first reaction with this latest order coming in from the Supreme Court. The bypolls won't happen till the Apex Court decides. Mr. Razak, if you can still hear me. All right, we seem to be having a problem with that line as well, but we'll try and connect to that. But this is a very important story because the bypolls are were very important for the state of Karnataka on the decision, on the sort of mandate that would have come for those 15 seats in the bypolls that would have decided upon the stability of the government. My colleague Revati and others who have been reporting from the ground have told us that at least 6 seats, that is what was needed for the BJP government in the state to survive. The JDS Congress was also very keenly looking at this. These disqualified MLAs had moved the Supreme Court, saying that disqualification is bad in law. The Supreme Court must look into it and then decide about how to go forward with it. Today, the top court was hearing this matter, was hearing this petition. That's when the Election Commission, on responding to the notice that was earlier issued to them, said that till the top court takes a call, we will not conduct the bypolls. Now, clearly, the bypolls cannot be suspended forever. The court will also try to make sure that the hearing is expedited as soon as possible. How soon that happens, that is a matter to be seen in some time. But the bypolls were very crucial for the state politics, for the stability of the government. Abdul Razak, I think, is with us on the broadcast. Mr. Razak, if you can hear me now, with this latest development coming in from the Supreme Court, where the polls have been deferred till the apex court decides on the plea of the disqualified MLAs, do you think this is a positive development? How do you view this, sir?
No, this is not a positive development. You know, the people of these constituencies, 15 constituencies, that accounts for around 10% of the complete electorate of the state, have been deprived of their basic rights.
Okay.
There have been floods in most of these constituencies. These people need their, MLAs to work for them. So I'm saying at this time, the Election Commission goes there and writes to the Supreme Court that they can contest. Somehow the government, is misusing the other offices like the Election Commission, the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's ruling, comes on the basis of the Election Commission's, writing to the Supreme Court, that the request that they have made to the Supreme Court. Okay. So I'm saying this is depriving people of their basic rights. They definitely need MLAs, to work for them. There have been floods in many of the places. We have not even received interim relief from the center.
Mr. Razak, I'm also bringing in Ms. Malvika Avinash of the BJP on the broadcast. Malvika ji, thank you so much for speaking to us. Crucial development coming in from the Supreme Court. No bypolls till a final call is taken on the petition of the disqualified MLAs. Your thoughts?
Well, we have to follow what the Supreme Court instructs. It's the highest court of the country, and we are bound by whatever the ruling the Supreme Court gives. I am amazed at Mr. Razak's baseless and mindless allegations about how the Supreme Court is being misused by the government of the day.
Ma'am, not to defend him, but just to put it into perspective, he's basically arguing. He's basically arguing that Election Commission is compromised in some manner. That is the argument. You may respond to that, ma'am.
No. I heard him say the Supreme Court has been compromised.
Madam, don't misquote me. I'm saying the Election Commission is misused.
I'm not speaking further. What misquote? How can you say the Supreme Court is being misused by the government?
Madam, I'm not saying the Supreme Court is please take my words again. The Election Commission has always been misused by the BJP government. They wait for Modi ji to give out the song and then they decide on the election date. They wait for Modi ji. Every time you have misused the Election Commission, that is the contention that I want to bring in.
Okay.
Why has the Election Commission
Mr. Razak,
come out and ask them?
Mr. Razak, why don't we let Malvika respond, and then I'll give you an opportunity to answer back. Malvika, please go ahead and make your argument, and then I can take a response from Mr. Razak.
To begin with, who is Mr. Razak representing? That's my fundamental question. Is he representing the people of this country? Who does he speak for on a television channel? If he's, vicariously speaking for some party, then it's unfortunate for him. As far as the office of the Speaker or the office of the Election Commission is concerned, we all know what has been misused when, and the country stands witness to all that has happened in the past. Nobody can misuse any constitutional body into, put any constitutional body into misuse.
Okay.
I completely, disagree with him on this. And Mr. Razak always speaks without any shred of evidence. He just speaks his mind.
Okay.
And it's unfortunate that he should be speaking like this on national television.
I get
Let's
your
listen
point.
to the
I get your
Supreme Court
point.
and
I get your
follow the
point. Let me take it. Mr. Razak, see, the argument that a certain institution is politically compromised is going to be used by either political parties on both the sides. The fact of the matter is that this petition is before the Supreme Court and they have to decide on the validity of it. It's a wait and watch. Let's see how soon it can be decided, because time again will be a very crucial factor here as we go forward. These bypolls